Oh, all right. Well, it's just a little chilly. This morning we just got the heater fired up. Well, we got a lot of goodies to put on this car. We did get started on this the other day, so we did start removing some stuff. Basically, we are doing a big turbo kit install, some motor mounts. I already had installed the fuel pump into this. We're going to add a rewire. This is basically what we had so far, so we're trying to get it bolted on. Nice weather's coming. We can have some fun with this thing. Some of the other things that we need, we can just, kind of add. So here we go. Let's check this thing out, show you all the parts that we got, and go over some of the stuff, what it took to get this thing together. So we got a trunk full of stuff. I probably should have pulled this stuff out. Would have made it a little bit easier to see. I did install the DCR 450 pump. We have a single pump fuel rewire to go on here. We have a full set of the torque solution motor mounts. This is our very pretty turbo that's going to be going on here. AGP kit comes with the overflow. Right there's our manifold. I purchased a Mopar manifold gasket to go with this. Upper mount. Here's our oil line, feed line stuff. Right back there. 3-bar maps, brand new tip. R2 housing. So I mean, I got stuff in a couple. There's some clamps. I got some stuff in a couple different places. So basically, we pulled a lot of. There's our stock pump down here. Our stock turbo. These other mounts. We just upgraded them to nicer stuff. I like the way these are. They're a lot lighter, better built. I feel you get less vibration when you run these compared to those. So we're installing them. Like I said, we already got the fuel pump installed. Man, whew. Here's our trans mount, our center mount. There's the one hard pipe. Yeah, everything's just like a crazy mess in here right now. So we pretty much have everything removed. The manifold, all the lines. I'm fixing up some other stuff. This had the wire run wrong. I'm assuming this motor was replaced at one time. They had the wrong manifold gasket on here. It was a mess, but nothing too terrible for this car. The mileage and the amount of owners. So we fixed the alternator wiring harness. I got a heat shield I'm going to be putting on here. We are going to be getting the manifold installed today, but we're going to get, here's another thing I thought was kind of cool. They actually, most of the time people just spin these around, but whoever did this, they actually ground this side off, which is pretty good for that. But we're going to be grinding them off down there because we're changing that mount out. And when we install our trans mount, we're going to have to grind our tabs off in here too, just like I show you in the other videos. So like I said, right now I'm at the point where here's something you don't see every day. Plans to make big power with this, so the car is actually pretty decent. Like I said, I have everything undone. I'm going to drop my mounts and slide them over as if I was going to be doing the timing belt. That way I can get my center mount in. I'm able to get down in there and grind that stuff. I'm going to get this mount on, and at the same time, probably while I have this pulled over, if I'm able to get in here, I'll finish up the rest of the stuff in the back, get everything cleaned up, and then I can get my manifold bolted on and maybe even get the turbo slid in here also. We do have a couple gauges that we're going to be installing, some AM gauges. That's boost, AFR, and I think an oil pressure gauge. So there's 3 gauges that need to be in a pillar pod in here. So we got those to install also. So, but like I said, basically I'm at this point now, since everything's removed, we're going to undo our 2 mounts, slide this thing over, get that side on, slide this back over, get this on, get it up to where it needs to be. Maybe just stick the bolt in to hold this thing in place. And then we can work on getting our manifold in. At that point, I can remove my engine hoist out of the way. And I can just put a jack underneath the transmission and let that down a little bit so that I can slide the turbo in here along the side. So everything works out. Like I said, addressing a couple of those small things. I'll probably double check some of this stuff because it was, you know, it looks like they put a new end on that sensor. I'm not sure what's going on with this telephone wire setup here. They have an AGP style screw-in sensor, which are the older style. So I'll probably address that too. Make sure those connections are good. Just, you know, stuff that you should take care of while you're in here, that the way it was done when it was done was probably okay, but now it's not. So, yeah. All right, we got the mounts out and the brackets out. All right. Now, anytime you put any aftermarket mounts in these cars, it just nobody feels the need to grind these off. I don't know if it's just something how that I do. Very rarely. I've never seen any of them ground off. Not one. So these need ground off so that the trans mount will slide up in here. Say it again, they were there so that the shape of this, see, slides up in here, self-centers. Okay. Alright. We can't have that with our new mount. It just don't fit, and if you do put it in there, it damages the rubber. So I'm going to grind these off. I have a little bit of black paint. I'm just going to I just kind of wire brush this down a little bit. So I'm going to dust it quick just so it looks a little nicer. And any of the stuff that I grind off is covered so it doesn't rust. So I'm going to grind that off. Okay, so we got our passenger, or I mean the driver's center mount is actually out. We are putting the new one in. We ground the tabs off here. I will be using anti-seize on my bolts, which you see me use all the time. So we'll get that installed. And then with these, once they're in, I push them up to the back top corner. It seems like then I have better chance of lining up my lateral mounts. Ignore the mess. So I got these ones ground. Just put a light coat of paint on here. I gotta hit it again, and just doing that so it dries faster. But we're gonna get the center mount down in here. It does come with a fancy bolt. All right, comes with a fancy bolt. Has an Allen head, big washer, goes through the side here. So we're gonna use that. So I'm gonna get this installed. We'll get this thing slid over. We'll work on getting our bracket ready for our transmission mount. That's the next part. And then we can get rid of the engine hoist out of the way. If you notice, we use the strap, kind of pulls it over. We have our axles out both sides. So it does that. The oil on the floor, that's from the oil feed area out of the back of the block, because we removed all the turbo lines, in case you see that and you were wondering. Whew. Let's get this thing together. Alrighty, well, I just wanted to take a note of this. I tried these bolts a couple different ways. This is down in here the way it should be, but we have a problem up here on this top one. Hopefully you can see that. That hole is not drilled right. So I actually have to come in here and route that hole out. Yeah, I mean, I put a couple of these things in here so far, probably 4 or 5 of these, and this is the first time I've had this problem. So I don't know if you guys are going to see this. Maybe it's something that needs double checked out here. Test fit, put one up to a rail where the lines are, or something. Yeah, we had that hole drilled off. Hopefully it's just that one and these other ones aren't the ones that are off, because that would really make center alignment here not exactly good. So like I said, this is the first time I've had one of these problems with one of these. So I'm gonna pull this thing out. I'm gonna mark where I need to grind that out a little bit, clean the anti-seize off of it, and make the bolt go through. All right, so I got the mount is actually down in there, so we're just gonna break our cable loose here. Gonna let this drift over. Hit this. Okay. All right. Just give it a little tug. You can see how close that is. I have our bolt ready to go. I did put a little bit of anti-seize down into the thread hole and on the front where we had ground off a little bit of the metal. Now, this just kind of fits through like that. And basically, you need to get this lined up. So we're actually a little high on this side, a little low over there. So just push down on this a little bit, maybe pick up over on that side with a jack, and then we can get everything lined up quite nicely and get our bolt in. So this is going to be a two-hand thing. So I'm going to take care of this. Like I said, you just got to shift the motor a little bit like that, and boom, it'll go right in. Well, as sad as this might be, I just got into working, had a couple people stop by, got back into working, did a couple other things, got back into working. So right now at this point, the entire manifold is installed, the turbo's on the engine. We installed a couple other good tidbits, new cam sensor, Mopar cam sensor. Our upper mount is installed here, you can see. Everything seemed to fit really nicely. Even the cover was kind of cool. Everything down through the O2 housing, everything bolted up. I actually fired it up. I have no exhaust leaks. Here's what the lower mount looks like. Actually went on kind of nice, and then you can see the center mount. So that stuff's in. Like I said, I did address the alternator. It has a heat shield now. Everything's run right. Fuel lines run right. I still got to address this a little bit down here. Put some bolts into this. I straightened this out. Painted this bracket up here pretty nicely. Pop this off that way. Maybe. Oh, there you go. There's our trans mounts down in. Everything's just down in here right. Made sure the oil line was run correctly. Went over all our tabs correctly. Yeah. So right now, I'm kind of down to, I have to modify the hot side pipe. I have to get the blow off valve back in. I actually took that off because I wanted room to move the motor over, and I wanted to be able to address, I'm not sure what this is. Like I said, I'm gonna fix that too. I'll probably double check the connections that are in here. If stuff needs soldered, I'll probably solder that stuff up, shrink tube it, since I just bought a whole bunch of new shrink tube. And like I said, then we're down to, you know, just the small stuff. I did re-gap the plugs. Plugs are gapped at 28. Figured, you know, more boost. Close the gap. They were at 45, I think. I think they were up at 45. So we dropped them down to 28. Had me a little, they were the Iridium plugs, so I used one of these little fancy, screw it in and then just turn that down and it closes it a little bit. That way you don't have to. I have one of these. It works good to bend them out, but use one of these. Just, you know, AutoZone O'Reilly's. I'm not sure what PT is, but we got one of those. So the plugs are all gapped. Oh, we also got a brand new O2 sensor to put up top here. You know, we got to have that. So right now we're actually breaking off onto getting all of the gauges installed. We have a 3-pillar pod to go in here, so we're going to get those installed. Yeah, and man, that's going to take some time too, but we're going to finish up the stuff out here, and then we can start running wires. I'm going to probably run them down through here like I normally do. I'll use an antenna and pull everything back up through, that way everything's decent. But like I said, I got this stuff over here I got to address yet, so it looks great. It looks beautiful on there. Like I said, everything went on nice. All the bolts were there. You know, I used a OEM manifold gasket. It just, everything fit up nicely. I had to make a little bit of room right here, the way the motor was sitting, to get this the clearance here. So I just had to tap it just a little bit, nothing too crazy. You can see Let me see here if I got a flat edge. See if let's see if we can use a screwdriver. See if this will work. It's probably gonna be too long. That's gonna be way too long. Try to find a shorter one here. This might work. So, you know, if you take and come across here and you look at that, you can see it would have, man, it's so close. It was actually, like I said, it was touching, and this has this base here where it goes on the manifold. I couldn't rock it up to get the two in, so that's why. I mean, I tapped it, so it was I kind of tried not to go too much, but you can see if you look straight back across there, the top of that would have never cleared it, because that's where that's at. This is down here a little bit, so I was gentle. I never expected to have to do that. I probably could have dropped this down and put it on and jacked it, and it would have been touching that, but then you'd have it rubbing because it was that close. So I just tapped on it a little bit with a hammer. I mean, it's part of it. So I'm going to get the rest of this stuff taken care of. I'm going to double check the instructions that come with the turbo setup as far as what needs to be done on the charge pipe to see if there's anything there. I think normally you end up cutting them back. Just cut the top of this off, and then they run in there on a 45. So, oh, look how they say it in the instructions, and then we'll get that on. Like I said, I'll get this valve here cleaned up and this wiring too. So, all right.